Hey everyone, this is Jaden here from Game Stuff, and I am making a quick Hearthstone tutorial because I know that beta recently opened up for the public, and I've been in the beta for quite a while now, and I keep seeing players doing really horrible things with their decks. And this is going to be a brief overview of the cards in Hearthstone that you start out with, the Soulbound cards, and the good and the bad cards that are in them. Because a lot of the cards are solid and you'll use for a very long time, and a lot of them you might have to use because you just don't have a better option, but you need to try to opt out of immediately. Some of these cards are just horrible. So, let's look at the common list. There are 32 or 33 general monster minions for Soulbound, and a lot of them, simply they're just better cards out there for what you can get. So I'm going to go through and outline the cards that are good and you certainly want in your deck, the ones that are bad that you don't want in your deck, and everything in between. There are a lot of situationally good cards. So let's get started. The bad. Okay, first up on the list is Goldshire Footman. Goldshire Footman is terrible, because he is a taunt with almost no attack, which means that he can barely trade with anything, and almost any 2 mana cost creature can kill him without dying, which is very bad. He's almost useless, and he is very unique in the sense that there is a Warlock card, right? Sorry about that. Right there. Voidwalker. Voidwalker is the exact same card, but better. He is the exact same. Only Warlocks can use that, but it just goes to show you that Goldshire Footman is not good. He is not good for his cost. There are better options. Murloc Raider. Murloc Raider is a very obvious bad card. He's a Murloc, so he synergizes with other Murlocs, but otherwise he's just a 2-1 for 1. There are lots of 2-1 for 1 creatures out there that do much better effects, so never take him unless you're running a Murloc deck, basically. That is the only reason. Stone Tusk Boar. Stone Tusk Boar can be good in Hunter decks because he's a beast and Hunters benefit off beasts, but aside from that, a 1-1 for 1 with charge is never going to be anything but annoying. Unless you're playing someone that can buff him up right as he attacks, he's not a good standalone card. Voodoo Doctor. I see a lot of people using Voodoo Doctor, and for the most part, healing cards in this game are only good if they're very strong, which means that they're like an addition to an already powerful card, or if they have an additional effect, or if the creature that you get with a heal card is actually good, and Voodoo Doctor is not. The 2 health will very rarely actually help you, and a 2-1 is not great stats on a 1 mana cost card. It's obviously not terrible, but there are different class specific cards. There are a lot of cards that just don't die so easily. So I would not take him unless you specifically need the heal for your deck composition. Bloodfen Raptor. Bloodfen Raptor is the exact same as River Crocolisk. The common 2 mana cost stats are 3-2 and 2-3, and Bloodfen Raptor and River Crocolisk fit those stats while not having any effect. They're terrible, but they make up for this by being a beast, which means that they can be used in Hunter decks. They're still not very good in Hunter decks, but that is the only situation that would ever actually warrant using them. There are lots and lots of other 2 mana cost cards that are the exact same thing as this card, but better. So always take them over this. Switch out of using this in your deck as soon as you possibly can. Frostwolf Grunt. Frostwolf Grunt isn't the worst thing in the world. A lot of the times you can throw him down and force an enemy 3-2 minion that is like rare, special, or more powerful than yours and force him to trade it, but that is pretty much the only use for him, and taking a 2 mana cost card strictly to trade with another 2 mana cost card is not worthwhile. It is not something I would ever recommend really putting in your deck unless you, again, need him for some specific taunt reason, which I can't even think of. He's not a very good card. Novice Engineer. A lot of people are going to argue with this one. And I completely agreed with everyone when they thought Novice Engineer was a great card up until very recently. Because until very recently he was a 1/2, and then she got nerfed. And a 1/1 for 2 mana cost that gives you a card, it basically allows you to get this minion out for free, which is useful, but a 1/1 can trade with almost no other creature, and it is only useful if it can trade with another creature. So, useful in specific circumstances, like if you need cheap card draw, like rogue decks can use Novice Engineer, but for the most part I would steer clear. There are better draw cards in the game. River Crocolisk, never take it. Terrible, bad, awful, don't. Dalaran Mage. Dalaran Mage is okay. He's not terrible. He is probably my least or second least favorite of the spell damage cards, just because he's almost useless on his own. He is a 1/4 for 3, and he's useful because he's hard to kill, but for 1 more mana you get Ogre Magi, which is a 4/4 for 4. Which is just a better standalone card. So he's useful if you need the spell damage early in the game, and he's hard to kill, which makes him useful, but that is pretty much the only situation. There are better alternatives pretty much anywhere else, so use at discretion. Use with discretion. Ironforge Rifleman. Ironforge Rifleman is a was it Elvish Archer? Whatever she is, the 1/1 for 1 that shoots 1 damage at something, except this is a 2/2 for 3 that shoots 1 damage at something. So it is the same card, but the value of the stats are less worth it, and it does the exact same amount of damage for 3 times the cost. Not a good card. Not a good card. It needs to do more damage, or it needs to be stronger in order for it to be worthwhile in your deck. It can be useful on mages maybe, combined with Fire Blast, but that's really pretty much it. I do not consider it a good card in almost any extent. Magma Rager, possibly the worst card in the game. I know it might not really seem like it because, you know, normal stats for a 3 mana cost is 3/3, you add 2 to health, you take 1 away, you add 2 to damage, you take 2 away from health, but so many classes, mainly mages, can just pick him off with a Fire Blast. They are so easy to kill. And there are even more damaging cards for the cost that you can get. There are 4 3s for the 3 mana cost. Like, it is a terrible, terrible card. Don't take Magma Rager. Just, please, he's horrible. Raid Leader. A lot of people take Raid Leader. A lot of people like Raid Leader, and he's okay. He is really only good in decks that focus specifically on weak minions and having a lot of them out at the same time. But for 3 mana, he only has 2 health, so he can die very, very easily. And the 1 attack bonus, there are other buff cards that I like much, much more than Raid Leader, and I would only consistently take him on Paladin or Shaman decks to buff the hero power. That's pretty much it. He's okay, he's not terrible, but there are better alternatives to him. Oasis Snapjaw. The Oasis Snapjaw is only ever good if you can give it taunt, or if you're a hunter. That is it. There is a 5 mana cost card that is almost the exact same thing with an incredible ability that completely dwarfs the Oasis Snapjaw. He is not a powerful card, and unless you can give him taunt, he will just whittle away with almost no success. He's not powerful, he's not strong. I would not recommend him pretty much ever under any circumstance. Stormwind Knight. A little strange of a card, because charged creatures, you can put them out and attack immediately, so generally you want your charged creatures to be able to deal a lot of damage. That's their whole purpose. But Stormwind Knight's almost there to pick off creatures and survive it. He's got a lot of health, a very small amount of attack, but that's not what he's built around. He has charge. So he's okay, but fundamentally he's just different, and I wouldn't take him most of the time. He's not a fantastic card for his stats, and 2 attack on a charge is just very weak, so it's up to you, but I would not recommend taking him. Booty Bay Bodyguard. He's an okay card, but he's just got too little health. For a taunt creature, he's got a lot of attack, not a lot of health, I know it doesn't seem that bad, a 5/4 is okay, but Ascension Shieldmaster costs 3 and has 5 health, which is a huge deal. Booty Bay Bodyguard always just gets thrown down for 5 and killed immediately. He doesn't succeed at what he's meant to do, so he's very subpar at best. There are better taunt creatures to take than him. Nightblade. Now, Nightblade is not terrible. I know that a lot of you might like Nightblade and think that's weird that I'm putting her in here, but she is simply just weak for her stats. She is a 4/4 for 5. You can get considerably stronger minions for that price, and the 3 damage directly to an enemy hero is not diverse or useful enough that I would take her in most situations. She is okay. Like, she's not a bad card. It's just the flat 3 damage to the enemy hero is not a very big deal. So most of the time I try to work around here. There are better 5-cost creatures for you to get. Reckless Rocketeer. I hate this card. This card is basically just a weak, expensive fireball. Fireball is 4 mana and does 6 damage. This is 6 mana and does 5 damage. But it can survive and keep attacking, but it never survives and it never keeps attacking. I always see people throw down Reckless Rocketeer and ram it into a minion to kill the minion, and that is a terrible waste of mana and a terrible waste of a minion. Reckless Rocketeer, I would only consider worth it if you throw her down, can attack something and not die, which is very unlikely, or attack the enemy hero directly, and then trade for a minion afterwards. But outside of that, not a good card. She dies way too easily, and I would absolutely not take her. Core Hound. Basically just a tough Mega Ranger to not such an extent, and it isn't terrible, but 7 mana for a 5 health creature is just way too late in the game to be wasting that much mana on 5 health. Like, so many spells can kill that so much more efficiently, and it's very uncommon that you actually see a Core Hound really succeed in what it's meant to do. It's good, again, because it's a beast. It is a very, very, very strong beast, and can be used really well in Hunter decks, actually. There are a lot of ways to give him charge and everything, but I would not take it in a normal deck. There, again, are just better, strong creatures for you to go with instead of this. And finally, War Golem. War Golem is a very weird card. I don't know why it's the way it is. Strong creatures, like strong, completely plain creatures, are well known for being slightly better than other creatures for their stats. Like, Chillwind Yeti and Boulder Fist Ogre are both very, very powerful for their mana cost, but War Golem isn't. He is 7 mana and he's a 7/7. And there are infinitely better cards than him. There are so many cards that can do better than a War Golem, and I think he is one of the worst cards in the game because of that. He's not diverse, he's not special in any way, he's just bad. So always work around him. War Golem's crap, don't use him in your deck. The good. Alright, now, I know it seems like a lot of Soulbound cards are just bad in a lot of ways, but don't get discouraged because there are plenty of cards that stand the test of time through all sorts of decks, and I use consistently in my decks despite having almost every card in the game. So, to start off the good cards section, we're gonna go with Acidic Swamp Ooze. This is nice because you get to start with this and Bloodfen Raptors, so people can immediately see the Bloodfen Raptors are crap. This is the exact same thing as a Bloodfen Raptor, but with an effect. It is situational, only 4 of the 9 classes can use weapons, but if you can ever get its effect off, it is super worth it, and if you have to throw it down without getting its effect off, it's still a decent card, so these are very, very solid all across the board. Kobold Geomancer. Kobold Geomancers are really nice. They are 2/2s for 2 that have a spell damage on them. And cheap spell damage cards are very, very, very good because it allows you to throw down the Geomancer and in the same turn maybe an Arcane Missiles or a Frostbolt or a Lightning Bolt or a Arcane Shot or any number of spells where the spell damage makes the difference. Spell damage is most important with weaker cards. Adding 1 spell damage to a Fireball barely does anything, but adding 1 spell damage to an Arcane Blast, Arcane Explosion, does the world of a difference. So Kobold Geomancer, very, very solid spell damage card. Probably the best. Murloc Tidehunter. Murloc Tidehunter is neat because he's a Murloc card that doesn't actually suck if you're not using him in a Murloc deck. Basically, he is a 3/2, just split into 2 cards. So this is nice because he can't be focused down by any one effect, but this is bad because he's really susceptible to AoE. If you have buff cards, if you have anything that benefits off having a lot of minions, then Tidehunter is simply better than other 3/2s. So while being a little situational, he's still a very solid pick. Ironfur Grizzly. I'm kind of reluctantly putting this in here because I don't think he's amazing, but he's 3 mana for a 3/3 with Taunt. He will trade with pretty much any other 3 mana cost creature in the game, and he has Taunt to force you to run into him. So he's pretty decent for his cost, and he has the added benefit of being a beast, so even better in Hunter decks. So, not a terrible card. I take him somewhat sparingly, but he's good. Razorfen Hunter. Razorfen Hunter is the same thing as a Murloc Tidehunter, so he's very good if you can use her in a deck that synergizes with having a lot of minions out. And she has an added unique effect. I believe that she is the only 3 mana cost creature in the game whose stats average out to a 3/4. There are 4/3 creatures, but there aren't any 3/4s. So this is interesting. She's pretty decent on her own, and she will trade with a lot of 1 or 2 mana cost creatures without dying herself, and you get the added board, so she's pretty good. Shattered Sun Cleric. Shattered Sun Cleric, if you have to use her without getting her effect, is not good. There are 2 mana cost cards that are the exact same thing, but if you can use it, she's very, very good. You can use her to buff a creature that's attacking to survive a trade that they wouldn't have otherwise been able to, or turn, anything stronger. I don't know why I'm trying to explain this. It's buff. It's good. It's very good on shamans. It's very good on decks that have a lot of weak creatures. Very good on paladins. And if you can get her effect off, absolutely worth the cost. Very solid card. Chillwind Yeti. Chillwind Yeti is simply tough for his stats. That's all he is. He's 4 mana for a 4/5. He's the toughest creature that you can possibly get for your stats. Debatably, I guess Dragonling Mechanic is basically the same thing. But he's solid. He's good. He's never a bad pick. If you want to throw him in, he'll just be a monster and he'll do his job well. There's no screwing him over. There's no silencing that can mess with you. So decent pick all across the board. Dragonling Mechanic, which we just mentioned. Another creature that spawns multiple creatures and averages out to the same stats as a Chillwind Yeti. So she's very, very good. The Dragonling's kind of odd because it's a 2/1, so it can die very easily, but she is very hard to kill. She is a 2/4. So I like Dragonling Mechanic more than the other 2 spawn cards because they're just standalone better. Dragonling Mechanic can hold her own very well. So again, somewhat situational. It's a little more risky, but they're very solid cards. Gnomish Inventor. This is the card draw card that I like. Gnomish Inventor is a Dragonling Mechanic, but instead of a 2/1, you get an extra card. So debatably much, much, much better, and debatably a little worse. So she gives you a card, but she's a decent minion on her own. So I would take her in a lot of situations. If you don't have great card draw, she's a pretty safe bet. Sen'jin Shieldmaster, what I believe to be the most solid, well-rounded taunt card in the game. He is very middle mana. He is 3/5, so he is 1 less attack and 1 more health for his cost, and he will trade completely for any weak creature leading up to that point. There's almost no, I don't think there is any 3 mana cost card that can survive him. So you throw him down, he will trade with almost anything. He's a great card. I take him in a lot of decks. Darkscale Healer. The only original healing card that you get that I like, because she restores 2 health to all friendly characters, and if you can just use this on your hero, it's still okay. It's still not that bad. If you can use it on a minion, she's incredible. But on top of this, she's actually a very good card for her stats. She's obviously not great. You could do better. She's a 4/5 for 5, so she's lower, but 4/5 for 5 really isn't bad, and the heal can be useful in a lot of situations. So I would take her somewhat often. A little bit of heal isn't that bad, but she's a decent card. Frostwolf Warlord turns into one of the most insane monsters in the game. I believe a full deck size is 7, and that, if you throw him down as your 7th card, turns him into a 10/10 for 5 mana. Obviously he can be silenced, but even when you silence him, he only reverts into a 4/4, so he's not that bad of a card. If you can use him with 2 other minions on the field, he is absolutely worth it and is better than any other card for his cost. So, Shamans, Paladins, obviously benefit off him a lot, and if you just got a lot of weak minions, he can be a very nice late game addition to your team. Gurubashi Berserker. This is an Oasis Snapjaw that's better. He costs 1 more mana and has an incredibly good effect. Every time he takes damage, he gets stronger and stronger, and he snowballs very, very, very quickly. He's incredible on mages, incredible on priests, and good across the board. He's a solid card. It takes a little while to get going, which is not very good at all, and a lot of people can deal with him before then, but if you can't, he is a nightmare to deal with. Very strong card. Oh, sorry, I missed one. Ogre Magi. Ogre Magi is 4 mana for a 4/4, and he's just good. 4 mana for a 4/4 is a decent minion, and he has a spell damage on him. So he will survive a while on his own, he is a competent minion on his own, and he is a nice addition to any deck that has a lot of spell damage effects on it. So, good in a lot of decks, not my favorite, but Ogre Magi is powerful enough. I took him for a very long time. Boulder Fist Ogre. Me have good stats for the cost. That's all you need to know. He's 6 mana, 6/7, better than anyone else for the cost, and he's just a tough minion. He's good if you can give him taunt, he's good if you can't give him taunt, he'll trade for a lot of minions, he's a tough late game addition. Totally, totally worth your time. And finally, Stormwind Champion. Stormwind Champion is one of the only cards in the game that actually buff other minions' health, which I find a lot more useful because it lets them trade when they normally wouldn't have been able to, and a minion with 2 health is infinitely more useful to you than a minion with 1 health. And of course its attack bonus as well. If you can't use his effect, he's 7 mana for a 6/6, which is not terrible. It's not great, but it's only 1 stat worse than War Golems, and he has an incredible effect. If you can throw him down with 2 minions, absolutely worth it. If you can throw it down with more, he'll just win you the game. Stormwind Champion has potential to be an awesome card. Okay, if there are any cards that I did not cover in this, that is because they're just okay. They're in the middle tier. They're either obviously good situationally or good whenever you feel like it. There are plenty of cards in here that you can take and they'll do fine, but those are the ones that I consider to be very, very bad, that you do not want to take in your decks and need to switch out of immediately if you are, and the good cards which you can use for a long time. Again, everything in this game is fairly situational, but they can last you a lot longer. So I hope that helps to some extent, and happy deck building. Good luck actually getting to a decent tier. I'll see you around.